Imagine a world where Homebrew doesn't exist. Your Dungeons & Dragons games can only be run with the official source material. Does not matter if it's Adventurers League or not, Homebrew is not allowed. Now imagine a world where Wizards of the Coast never made official rulebooks for Dungeons & Dragons, where you had to play the game of Dungeons & Dragons through only Homebrew and nothing else. I asked two avid Dungeons & Dragons players to debate this exact topic of which one would be better in the long run. This is part 4 of the Master Debater Dungeons & Dragons edition. If you do not know what the Master Debater Dungeons & Dragons edition is, I encourage you to watch the first couple minutes of this video linked right up here explaining the rules. But long story short, this was a debate between JoCat and Shrub the DM live on my twitch.tv channel, link in the description below. So after you're done watching this video, be sure to leave this video a like, subscribe if you haven't, and leave a comment down below of 1, who you think should have won the debate, and 2, what would you do in this position? Would you throw out all of the core rulebooks and only use Homebrew from strangers on the internet, or would you only allow Wizards of the Coast to make the rules from now on? I'm interested to see all of your responses, and with that, enjoy the Master Debater Dungeons & Dragons edition part 4. JoCat versus Shrub the DM, with a time penalty on Shrub the DM.
So sorry,
bought
Shrub.
in from Professor Exile. So with that, let us get it going here. So here's the scenario. Wizards of the Coast has a decision to make on how the entire game of Dungeons & Dragons is going to be run. Either no Homebrew is allowed ever again, you can't use it, doesn't matter, or none of their sources are allowed. You have to pick one. Either the entire game of Dungeons & Dragons is run with Homebrew, or it is only run with official material. If you choose to go first, you will be arguing on the side of Homebrew. If you choose to go second, you'll be arguing on the side of official source material only. And with that, somebody call the coin flip.
You go, Shrub.
Heads.
All right, Shrub calling heads. It is heads. First or second? As a reminder, first you'll be arguing Homebrew. Second, you will be arguing for official source material only.
I'm gonna go first on this one.
All right. Electing to go first. 45 seconds on the clock. Thank you, Commander, for having it up there. Your time begins now.
So the reason I'm choosing Homebrew, literally everything in the core guidebook, handbook, everything like that is loose guidelines. You can throw half of it out. Hell, Noam even said she's ran 3 campaigns and just bought the handbook. 5 campaigns. There you go. You don't need those rules. All they are is a basic guideline for the people that don't know what they're doing to help them find where they're wanting to go. I run 2 campaigns through a Homebrew world that I built from scratch that has almost nothing to do with core material. And as far as rolls and stuff go, hell, you can change it up, make it to where each die has its own stat and go it that way instead of stats rolling their own die. I got 3 seconds left, but I'll wait till my next round.
All right, then that's time. So, JoCat, you have the floor of 1 minute and 30 seconds to argue for official source material only.
Quick,
your time
quick.
What's up?
You can pin all 3 of our cameras if you want. Like, I don't know if that matters to you or not, but
I should have done that in the first place. Thank you for reminding me. All right. Oh God, that looks ugly as hell. But it's fine. Who cares? 1 minute 30 on the clock. Your time begins now.
All right, people who do Homebrew do not realize the amount of possibilities that are available in the core rulebooks that Wizards of the Coast has already provided with you, especially many new players who want to make a specific type of class or specific type of race that already exists in the core rulebook. 5th edition has so much material that you can already work with, and guess what? It's already balanced. There are so many Homebrews that has not been created with a professional team of quality assurance to be able to make sure that this will not break the party and not have one player be totally annihilate every single encounter while everybody else is sitting on the sidelines, because all of that is already available to you. And you know, there are so many, and there's going to continue to be more material that Wizards of the Coast releases. Xanathar's Guide just already came out with so many different subclasses that made a bunch of Homebrew pretty redundant and a lot better than the Homebrew because of that quality assurance. For example, the War Mage or whatever, that's essentially a battle mage. I had a friend who wanted to make a battle mage homebrew, but it was completely broken and made everybody else in the party kind of feel like they weren't contributing as much because it wasn't nearly as powerful. Or say, you know, you wanted to be a cat person. Well, Tabaxi exists. And, you know, there's so many that I feel like the people who rely on homebrew to fit those fantasy things have not explored all that's already available to you and polished and done by a professional team.
All right, 2 seconds remaining. 45 seconds. Back over to you, Shrub. Why are you right and JoCat is wrong? Your time begins now.
Okay, so your whole thing was balance. And yes, you're right. The official core book has that balance. Doesn't mean that homebrew won't be. You have to, you know, keep in mind while you're making that homebrew, what's going to balance it, what's going to keep it even for everybody, and make sure the party's all having fun. And as far as wanting to be a cat person, you're right. Tabaxi exists in the core books. That doesn't mean in my homebrew world, Lynxie doesn't. Another cat person, totally different stats. I can balance it however I need to make it fit the lore of my homebrew world. I don't need the core book for anything. I can build anything, have it be similar, but it's still homebrew. And as far as balance goes, that's the job of the DM anyways, to make sure all the encounters are balanced one way or the other.
That's time. JoCat, 1 minute 30. The last word, the last uninterrupted word, is yours. Your time begins now.
Okay, well, in the core rulebook, it provides all of the, as it says, core rules that are required to make a holistic system to play D&D. And also, there may be some things that aren't necessarily in the book that there's a demand for. You know, there's so much homebrew that, you know, there's an audience for everything. But, you know, Wizards of the Coast is slowly releasing more stuff to fit those demands. For example, the setting of Eberron is very much different from the Forgotten Realms. People wanted orcs and goblins and drow to not be evil and just be normal people. Eberron setting, where anybody can be anything. It's a very, you know, new, fresh take on this fantasy setting with more possibilities. And there are, you know, I feel as though, yes, homebrew can be balanced, but it is unreliable balance. It is balanced by a person you know, relying on the internet, relying on other people to make sure. And, you know, I think also the ability to purposefully min-max as well is not as available in homebrew either, as there are built-in systems, since Wizards of the Coast knows all their systems, knows all their spells and classes, that they can build, implement things with those classes and systems and spells in mind, so that if you wanted to, you can make your character very, very powerful within proper means, so that other people also have that possibility, not just because they found something off of the D&D homebrew wiki.
All right. Right at the buzzer there. 1 minute now. Back and forth between both of you. Get your last points in. Both of your times begin now.
So you keep talking about Wizards of the Coast adding stuff like they are adding Eberron. If we're talking what's there right now, that means they don't get to add anything else. That's now homebrew content. Everything they're adding, that's in my domain now.
I
That's
still
homebrew.
believe that there is way more content, official content to consume and make
There's a ton of
possible
official
combinations
content.
with.
But we're talking the limitless imagination of all the players and the DM at the table to make everything match what everybody there wants. There's stuff inside those rule books that ain't ever gonna match.
I would say that limitation breeds innovation, because that puts you in a smaller mindset to try and be more creative with that small possibilities.
Innovation can also be what we're doing to change the rules to make it work. Point in case, my table, players don't roll their death rolls. The DM does. That way the other players don't get to know if their friend's about to fail their last death save.
Well, I would say more people knowing the rules would make transfer from table to table a lot easier, because you already know the rules and don't have to worry about all the...
And that's time. No more debate time. Shrub, my man, using secret death saves. Oh, yikes. I already know how my players at my IRL game feel about that one. Oh, anyway, I have my camera enabled. Yikes. Anyway, it's time to go to voting. Yeah, we hate it. Yeah. She's one of them. Yeah. Anyway, let's get to voting. Judges and chat, who do you think did it better? Did JoCat win this, or did Shrub the DM win this? Let's go down the line. Let's go top to bottom this time. Commander, who do you think did it better?
Can you come back to me?
Sure, I'll come back to you. Professor Raptor Biscuit, who did it better? You were muted,
friend.
Sorry, I was muted. Can you come back to me too? Really, this is so good.
All right, no man who did it better.
Jesus, guys, come on. I was doing the same. Okay. All right. So this, both very good arguments. And I was so strongly biased in favor of Shrub because, as was mentioned, I ran 5 campaigns before I bought any Woods of the Coast content, literally just making it up from this little Chaos Center. But there's a certain hubris to thinking that me, as one little gnome, can compete with all of the Wizards of the Coast. And also putting trust in people on the internet. Oh God, I think, I think Shrub is right, but I think JoCat won their debate.
All right, that's 1 vote for JoCat. That's fine. Cinnabon, who did it better?
Here, heads or tails?
Oh no, not that again.
Yeah, no, this was tough. Because there were a lot of good points from both people. I think I'm gonna agree with No Man that I think Shrub might be right, but I think JoCat did a better job of like showing that like there are a lot of things that like you can do with the actual material. I feel like if Shrub kind of like went into like the whole like, oh well, Gnome has a character that plays this pile of glitter, you can't play a pile of glitter with the Wizards of the Coast. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Joe.
All right,
that was good,
that's
though,
another one. It's another one for JoCat. All right, Nate takes. Who did it better?
This one's tough, man. You guys were neck and neck throughout that entire debate. You really were. And that's, you know, opinion on what I would like aside. Like just debating wise, you guys did a fantastic job, both of you. I think the choice of mine would go to JoCat, and it's for one very specific reason. He was given examples the entire way through, from the very first round to the combined round. He was given examples where Shrub took a while to get to that point, made very valid points about how creative you can be, but he only really got to the examples on that very last combined round. So I think on that point alone is why I'll give it to JoCat.
All right, another one for JoCat. Tailspin. Who did it better?
At first, I was leaning towards Shrub because JoCat was bringing up good points, but like not really arguing against Shrub, which is like what I'm looking for in a debate. Is you gotta go on the attack, you gotta go on the offensive. But then JoCat took a point of like, but the rules limit you, and spun it into a positive of like. I forgot what was said exactly, but whatever. Point being, for that, I give it to JoCat.
All right, Commander.
For the record, the point was everybody knows the rules, so you don't have to reintroduce people to your home, whatever.
You're true.
Homebrew.
Commander.
Yeah.
Who did it better?
As far as the debate goes, this is again a really hard thing to think about because Shrub had such little time compared to JoCat. Like I think it really does matter because I feel like Shrub had some really good points, but just didn't have enough time to expand on them in the same way that JoCat did. And so I'm torn, and that's why I need a little bit of extra time. But I think what I'm gonna say is I'm gonna give my vote here to Shrub because during the little time that he still had me on his side. And maybe that's a partial bias because I love Homebrew, but also I know the power of the book sources, and I use them and I advocate for them all the time. So I think that Shrub did a good job of basically reminding me that D&D at some point in time was just Homebrew. It was just a group of people that were talking about playing the game and just doing whatever the fuck they want. And that can be a lot of fun. If you've never tried just starting a D&D campaign on a whim one night, like I asked you guys before the call, if you all want to play D&D after this, I can just whip us up something in 30 seconds in my brain and we can all play it out because we don't need the books to have fun. So I think Shrub did a good job of reminding me about that.
All right, Professor Raptor Biscuit. The last one.
I agree with Shrub's sentiment, but the JoCat's that Wizard has put out this much content that you can pretty much negate most homebrew because it's already covered it mostly. Like, maybe not all the rules, but JoCat's whole point about that is what sold it for me. Because for me, you got to know the rules before you can break the rules.
All right. Well, with that in chat vote, JoCat does take the round. Congratulations, JoCat.
Sure, if you had the same time, you would have won.
Yeah,
honestly.
I was just gonna
if he had the
say
same
that.
time, he would have won.
Yeah. I was just gonna say that.
You can hold a grudge. You can hold a grudge against Professor Exile for preemptively cutting your time in half.
I have to say, arguing against my own beliefs is really freaking hard.
Yeah, it's really hard.
That was why I had to pick homebrew even with halftime.